welcome back to another episode of the Hooligans Pitch. As always, it's your boys, Michael and Chad. What's up, Chad?
Hey, hello.
How was your turkey break, international break? Do anything soccer-worthy?
It was just chill, you know? Didn't really catch any of the international games except for, like, parts of the USA games, and they just looked terrible, so...
just a quick highlight on that. I gotta say, I was really judging Anthony Robinson on those games, and surprisingly, I think he was, like, the best player on the team.
Yeah.
And then everyone else was just pretty bad. So, I wish everyone played to Jedi's level because that was awful. Watching Des get the red card, just like, what are we doing?
It's just, you know, we're building towards a home soil World Cup, and I get it's you know, Trinidad, and we have some shaky history against them, but you gotta look better than that. It just, like, both games is just so I don't know, dry, slow, bad football.
And I didn't turn on the first game until near the end, and then the onslaught came. But it was not a fun watch, either of those two games. But we're talking about EPL here, but let's get started. After turkey break, I'm going on a little bit of a cleanse here because boy, did I drink a little too much over the last week. So we're doing a nice little hot cocoa in the Liverpool mug. I got sprinkles in here. I do. And then, of course, my water next to me because it's necessary.
I mean, you kind of went holiday themed because I also went holiday themed unbeknownst to you. We're entering the festive period where it's fixtures back to back to back. So I'm having a little bit of spiked eggnog tonight.
Damn. Kristen was like, "Do you want to do a hot toddy?" I was like, "Yeah, but nice choice. Spiked eggnog. Okay." Yeah. I had, of course, wild turkey on Thanksgiving, as is tradition. Nice. I shared it with a friend, and he said, "Wow, that's really smooth." And I looked at him like, "You should have the rest of this bottle then, because if you're calling this smooth."
Yeah, please have it.
Yeah, take some more. All right, Chad, it's been 2 weeks since we've last spoke about footy. Well, we've talked about footy all the time, but last saw your face and talked about footy. Liverpool back from international break, and of course we're playing that early game just like always. Set that alarm for 6:30 a.m. I dozed in and out for a while, but I did see the goals while I was awake, so that made me happy.
Okay, nice.
Especially the Trent one. I was like, yes. I was like in bed, but I was giving a silent fist pump. That game, I don't think lived up. It wasn't the hyped game that it felt like it should have been. I think maybe coming off the international break with no real momentum coming into the game definitely deflated the atmosphere a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of that and a little bit of being the early game, right? Because, I mean, for you, it's early. For me, it's earlier. But, you know, over in England, I think it's like a 12:30 kickoff or something.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit early for people to really kind of pre-game it or you know, get themselves kind of hyped for it. So I think it's just both of those things just work together to make it kind of a more tame affair, I guess, between City and Liverpool than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I wish it would have been the late game on Sunday.
It should have.
Right, Man United and Everton going in the last game of the weekend. That's uncalled for. So hopefully I believe in the next fixture, it'll be way more hyped up. It'll be much deeper in the season. I'm not sure the exact day, but Liverpool will be at home. I expect a crazy atmosphere for that one. I'm gonna look up the date as we continue on here, but let's just kind of talk about the notable highlights. The first goal they score, the Alisson slip. That's where we got to start. And when he does slip, great things usually happen.
Yeah, I was excited.
And I was excited too. I was like, and then the ball just got totally shanked. Yeah. Fell right into City's lap, and then they just turned on the gas hard. And I'm not shocked they scored at all. I went, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of looked like Alisson was just, I don't know, maybe he was a little bit shaky coming off of the international break too. he certainly started the game shaky, and I think throughout the game just looked a little bit off the pace, maybe a bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, he's held to such a high standard because he's like every game he's making big saves, and when he slips, it normally is an assist. Like, so I think this being maybe a bad game for him, even though he didn't really perform poorly, it just it was just noticeable, I guess.
The one, I mean, that error was so big. It was just,
Yeah,
and if he kicks that ball anywhere else, it goes out of bounds, whatever. It's like no one even thinks twice about it.
yeah,
I'd argue, he traveled one of the furthest traveled members of the team to then just come on and start. He maybe had the craziest international break with that whole Argentinian
probably.
Brazilian fight breaking out. That was wild.
Yeah.
So, but to get it to get a draw with the circumstances, amazing. The goal
Still
by
great.
Trent was class. He's been red hot. I think things are finally clicking. I mean, it helps when Virgil's playing at his absolute peak to then let everyone else in the defense like flourish. So I don't know. I give him like maybe a 6 out of 10 because I know we probably could have done way better. But given right after international break, I'm not too worried about this game. Pep didn't make any changes, which we kind of talked about. It's mind-boggling to me that he just doesn't believe in his bench to come on and make any adjustments. And, you're 1-0 up against Liverpool. Why not try to either put the pressure on him, continue to try to score? But it's like they kind of just, they weren't feeling it either. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of those, I guess, like, you would think being at home, you want to go for the win, right? Because that next fixture away, is going to be much harder. You're, hostile territory. Yeah, I don't know why he sometimes just does that. Just no subs. Like, and it's not like his bench has changed much. Like, he still has, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis, Vardiol, Stones, Phillips, like his normal bench players. And you got to think, like, there must be someone on there that you can trust to bring on in a big game and try and, I don't know, spark something, or just like give you a little bit more control, or I don't know. I mean, I guess not.
Not even Grealish coming in.
I don't think he actually made the bench. I think he got injured right before or something.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he wasn't on the bench, so that's probably one that would have made his way on. But I mean, yeah, you figured you'd at least bring someone in to try and spice it up a little bit. Like, Oscar Bob, I don't know much about the guy, but he's got to be worth something if you're keeping him on the team and in the bench.
Well, Pep had all this talk about him not that long ago, saying he's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to put him in the team. And we don't even see him here. I will say though, this is a game that I got to kind of see how much De Bruyne has missed.
Yeah.
When Doku was getting, which Doku was still an amazing player, but when Doku was getting the ball, he was definitely cutting inside more and trying to play a central role, and then trying to distribute from there. I think Liverpool was doing a really good job of kind of keeping him off the edges, because when he gets to the edge, he flies down there, gets to almost the corner, and then makes all his moves and tries to cut in on you. They didn't really allow that, which is great. That's perfect game plan. But it makes me worry once De Bruyne gets there and he's playing that type of position, and then you actually do have to worry about Doku on the wing. That's pretty terrifying. That's like, and if De Bruyne has to come back and be himself, but just that thought where we play them March 9th again. De Bruyne is set to come back mid-January. Like, I think that's where the hype's going to come.
Yeah. I mean, if last season we saw De Bruyne, almost every pass is just straight to Haaland. Like, now he has Haaland and Doku to look at, and that's kind of frightening for sure.
It's a crazy thought. And we haven't seen it yet. I mean, Doku came on. I don't even know if he played a match with I don't even know if he was on the team yet before De Bruyne went down.
If he was, I don't think he really got out there. Because De Bruyne got injured pretty early.
First game? I think it was the first game.
Yeah, like first or second, maybe.
De Bruyne got injured the same game Cole Palmer was on City.
Well, there you go.
They lost Palmer, brought in Doku. It's still working out, obviously. But then, all right, so Trent scores his goal. He tells the whole crowd to shush. Did you see there was a chance he could get fined for that?
I saw that, but I don't believe it to be true.
It's not going to happen. But that was like the rumor that was coming around. It's like, well,
I think like, that's just
what is that? Who
butthurt City fans? I don't know.
Come on. Yeah. And then of course the Nunez Pep dust up at the end. I kind of was looking around to see what was said exactly.
Yeah. Anyone got any idea?
The joke is Nunez asked Pep what type of shampoo he uses, and then who knows? It wouldn't actually be that crazy if Nunez did say some crazy shit like that to him. But that's the rumor going around, is that's what was asked. But other than that, I have no idea.
Dang. Yeah. I mean, you figure at that point it's just a, good game, but like fuck you sort of thing. But for it to kind of spark off like that, I feel like he must have said something a little more like pointed and in an attacking way.
And I'm wondering who started it. Klopp looked confused. He was like, "What is going on right now?" I'm pretty sure him and Pep already shook hands, and they were like, "See you next time." I don't know. That was interesting.
Yeah. Did you see this report of Alisson maybe being sidelined for 5 weeks?
Oh God, when did this come
out? I saw it posted in the Arsenal subreddit, so it's like, I don't know the reliability of this. It's from Jamie Kent, if that means anything to you as a Liverpool fan, but it's saying that early reports saying Alisson could be sidelined for 5 weeks following a hamstring injury.
I wonder if that was the slip.
Don't know if that's true. I mean, I know at the end of that game he did have a little bit of a limp going, but I haven't heard anything else. Nothing confirmed, certainly. So, I don't know. I mean, even midweek in Europa, I would think it could be a game that you would rest Alisson anyway. So I don't think we'll learn much there. Probably not until next weekend.
Yikes, that's pretty interesting. Well, this year in the top 5 leagues, I think we're now at 37 ACL injuries. Which is a crazy all-time high, and a lot of that belief is just because the impacted schedules, how fast players are going from international break to back to domestic league. I mean, it's pretty crazy turnover. How fast they're going all over the world. And then this next month we got a lot of games. It's gonna be a busy month. So
this is where they pack them in. So it's,
oh my goodness.
You kind of need that depth, and like your Tottenhams of the world right now are finding out that no good depth is a killer to your season.
Yikes. Well, that you want to talk Arsenal, or do you want to go segue into Tottenham?
We can go Tottenham since I kind of brought it up.
Tottenham is, I think, right where we thought they'd be at this point of the year, because they were doing it against the teams they should have been beating, but now they're on this stretch of playing really, really tough games. And, my favorite Reddit post that I saw this past week was, when did Aston Villa get so good? It's like, dude, they've been good now for the last, ever since Gerrard left is kind of when they've
pretty much
they've been close to excellent. I think that game was fun. I thought Aston Villa deserved to win it. I think now Tottenham, that's their 3rd loss in a row. And I think they are due for maybe 2 more. They got City next, and then they got West Ham. And West Ham's probably the one where they can maybe find a way to get out of their funk. But I don't know. West Ham's starting to figure some things out too. I think they got a little lucky over this past weekend, but I wouldn't want to face those next two teams after this bad streak that I'm on. And Son got an offside half trick, which hasn't. I don't know. I've never really seen that before, especially watching it live. That was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, I don't even think Aston Villa looked their best on the day, but certainly were better in the attack. And I mean, Emi Martinez made a handful of really good saves to keep them in it, and they played their defensive line really well, obviously with Son being called off 3 separate times.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they still kept Son quiet. Like, we were doing fantasy stats last night and had basically nothing to enter for Son, which is kind of unheard of. So to anyone that hasn't been paying attention, Aston Villa's been looking good and only looking better, I'd say, as the games have gone on. But this is Tottenham. This is the Ainge ball. We play one way and one way only.
It's crazy. It's like, if it doesn't work, we keep going.
Yeah. So, and I can get the sentiment behind that of you always want your team to, play to the level they can and play, the strategy that we normally play. But okay, but then you get figured out real quick, and if you don't have a backup plan, you're gonna get rocked. I don't know that even if without injuries, if this Tottenham team goes up against City and plays so open and quick as they do, I think City would love that. It's something for them to actually play with and punish, whereas every team they come against just sits back and City has to work their way through. So if they're going to come to City next week with all the injuries and still try and play their same way, good luck. But
give me a prediction, Chad.
Oof. Prediction. See, this is the only wrench in this, is that Tottenham for some reason has a good history against City, but that was with Harry Kane in the mix.
That's a Harry Kane history. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say 3-0 for City.
3-0 City.
Yeah.
Haaland hat trick?
I
could see it happening.
Haaland hat trick. Maybe. I think Foden's got one in him.
Dude, that back line is so bad for them.
I think if Doku gets the ball in and around the box, someone's fouling him and giving away a PK. You don't have great defenders back there at the moment. You're playing, right backs and left backs as your center backs, which is not the worst, but they're also not the left backs and right backs that are used to playing a now more central role.
Well, and Porro is essentially playing right wing, so your right side is screwed. So Doku's gonna have a field day with him.
Yeah.
Every City game just feels like must watch for any team, but I'm usually rooting for the team that City's going against. But in this game, I'm I don't really know who I want to. Of course, I love seeing a City loss, but it's I kind of want City to just thump them. If they're gonna thump anyone this season, let's make it this game.
Yeah, if there's gonna be any Tottenham favored result, just make it a draw.
Sure.
But I think City just, I as much as we've talked about, how does Pep get the guys motivated to go again this year after winning the treble and keep those high standards, this could be that one-off game where he's just look, this Tottenham team has a history of beating us, and now they're missing Harry Kane, who was a big reason for that, and let's go out and show them that you're not beating us anymore, sort of thing. So I don't know, it'll depend how they want to play, but if we're going off of how Tottenham has played, I think they're going to be in for a pretty rough day.
That is the primetime game on Sunday.
Okay.
So we'll be tuning in.
Oh yeah.
We'll be ready. All right, want to jump to your Arsenal game, because that was kind of a nail biter.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough game. Brentford at home as a pretty good record so far this season. They've got 2 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
One being against Arsenal, the other one being against Everton. So not a place to go and win easily, certainly. And then you throw in the forced change in keeper, since David Raya is technically on loan, can't play against his parent club, so Ramsdale has to come back in, which should be fine, but I think it's just he's rusty. He hasn't played in almost the whole season.
Yeah.
um, and that showed.
That throw Chad had me and Kristen looking at each other like, is he okay?
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you tighten up?
I had to work, so I didn't get to watch it live, and probably for the best, so I could just kind of like see the highlight and know it ended up okay. But man, it just, even still watching the highlight, I was like, what the hell is going on
just
here?
Throw it.
Yeah. Yeah, and some back passes that he took a little bit too much time on. Not his best outing. He was certainly better in the second half from what I saw. But if he's trying to like win his starting position back, like I don't know that this gave Arteta any questions about it.
Yeah, I mean Raya probably isn't helping his cause either. I mean, he's been pretty dicey too with his decision making. It's just I don't know what Arsenal's going to do with Ramsdale in terms of you should probably keep him as a good backup keeper, but is that what he wants?
That's the thing. It's like he's a great option to have, but he has to be willing to play that role of, you're not going to get much game time. Like, I don't think he necessarily wants to go and down that route. He's younger than David Raya is, and up until this point was starting for Bournemouth, starting for Sheffield, starting for Arsenal, and then now all of a sudden you're playing second fiddle when for no reason other than Arteta prefers David Raya, which, I mean, the reason being his passing and distribution is much better than Ramsdale, so I get it in that sense of like Arteta's tactically wanted to have a lot more control this season, and
right.
Good distribution and passing will get you that. But yeah, I don't know if you can keep Ramsdale happy just riding the bench for almost the whole season now. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some movement in January, and then I don't know. I guess Arsenal have to find a true backup. Yeah, I don't know. Or if things are going well, Arteta can maybe say, "Look, Aaron, hang out. Maybe get yourself a Premier League medal at the end of the thing." Like, could work.
It could. The rumor is Newcastle is looking at him, which I think would be a pretty good fit.
Interesting.
Yeah, Nick Pope's kind of, he's 31, and I don't think Pope is necessarily, he's not going to be the keeper of their future, and Pope makes some interesting decisions too. I mean, how old is Ramsdale? 23, 24?
I want to say 24.
Okay. So still a lot of room for improvement. I feel like keepers last
25.
25. All right. Well, they still last a long time. He's still very, very early into his hopefully long career. I did see rumors of Forrest coming in there, which would just be hilarious. That Matt Turner
Just
again.
Add him to the list.
Yeah. Right. So it'll be interesting. And now with Allison going down too. If that's a serious injury, I don't know. That's definitely terrifying. And if we didn't have a keeper that would come in and I don't know if Ramsdale's the right guy for Liverpool if we're going to be on a long-term injury, but there's a lot of teams out there who could use his services, and it'd be a shame to see him kind of ride the bench for as good as he is. But I understand the reasoning. Like, you want 2 good keepers. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Every team wants 2 good keepers.
Yeah, I mean, I think either way, it kind of works in Arsenal's favor right now. Either you keep a good backup option, or like you just said, there's multiple teams that probably have a reason to look at him and can maybe get a little bit of a bidding war going on there if it comes to it. Yeah, I'd like to see him stay just because he had done so much to get Arsenal kind of back into the top 4 kind of realm, and made some big saves along the way. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Arteta and the board decide to do and all that. But back to the game. Declan Rice, Zinchenko, both with goal line clearances.
Oh man, that was tight.
Whew.
Real close. But I think we got to talk about the most important piece. It's left back Havertz.
Left back Havertz. Who knew?
What are they thinking in Germany to be like, let's just try this? And of course it works. And now he's, I don't want to say he's now confident in what he's doing. But I do think he got a little bit of a little spark, a little pep in his step coming back into the Arsenal clubhouse, saying like, oh, look what they're doing to me over there. I can do that here too. Pretty fascinating to get a goal in that fashion. And like you said, it makes perfect sense why he should be making that back post run with it being curved in. He's probably one of the tallest people on that pitch. I mean, take out me, take out Pinnock, just take out all the good defenders. Out of all the attackers, he's probably the tallest one out of the whole.
Yeah. I mean, 6'4", so
he's really 6'4"?
6'4". I mean, on Arsenal, Saliba's also 6'4".
I didn't think he was that tall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Google's telling me, so we're going with it. But, but yeah, like that is exactly the ball I thought we would see played over and over and over this season. It worked with the Aubameyang. Saka would do the same thing, cut in, just cross to that back post, and Aubameyang would either head it in or kick it or at least cross it back. But it just hasn't happened with Havertz, and I don't know if that's been more like coaching it of like we're not doing that play, or he just hasn't really made the connection to be in that area when he needs to be. But I don't know, maybe this is a little wake up call that he needed or Arteta needed, that like this should be the play. Like if you're gonna have Martinelli and Saka out wide and keep the pitch kind of spread, and then either time they get the ball, it's like basically a 2-on-1 situation with them, so it's hard for them to get through. So then at least give Saka that back post cross option to dude 6'4", like.
Oh, and he had
heading.
He had to bend down for it.
Yeah, like his heading's maybe not the best, but like being 6'4", he can at least get to most of those balls and cause some issue and chaos, if not score himself. So I don't know. I thought we would see it a lot more, and that was the reason I picked him up in fantasy at the start, because I was like, oh, easy money, just throwing him a cross every game, easy header.
It would be a dirty move now. People start subbing him in, and and good things happen. But
well, that would just be my fantasy luck this year. So
yeah, it's been a tough go, and I don't. It's so hard to know what's going to happen. It's a game of luck. It truly is. But Trossard playing on left mid. It was really interesting to watch like Arsenal attack for most of this game. I know you didn't watch the game live. Did you watch the whole game itself, or did you just cut through highlights?
No, I just went through the highlights.
When they attacked, I mean, they had like everyone at the top of the box. Now, mind you, they're much shorter than what Brentford's throwing out there with their huge back line, but they were just so much quicker. And then, of course, the one tall guy, they finally get out there, and Havertz scores the goal. I wasn't really too shocked by it. I just thought this was a different look for Arsenal. I think... Do you bring Havertz off the bench every time now? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I do think it would be nice to maybe see him play in the kind of little left wing back type mode, and maybe even bring Zinchenko a little more central. Like, kind of reminds me of like how Bayern had Philip Lahm and they had him on right back, and then they kind of shift him inwards. Same kind of idea. I think that could weirdly work because of how unusual it is. A 6'4" left back who's gonna also score headers in the back post. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's so much of the play around him is quick, and like they're good technical players, and you know he is too, but he's just a much bigger target, so it's easy to kind of throw him in somewhere. And you know, I think that's why at Chelsea he ended up playing striker for most of the time, just because he's 6'4" and like
Yep.
he has good technical ability. So it's like, is he a true striker? No, but like his physique is kind of there. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's that left mid spot is clearly still up for grabs. Like,
Yeah. They don't know what to do
Trossard
there.
had you know some good moments, but overall didn't light it up. That you know forces Arteta's hand to play him there. But I don't know. That might be a tool too of just always have that rotation of Havertz, Trossard, you know, Smith Rowe when he comes back. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Arteta actually lands on someone there, or if it will be this just we're trying someone else here, and then you know bring in Kai as the late game left back, but kind of extra midfields, crash the box player.
Not a bad thing to have all those options, though.
No, yeah, of course.
Anything else you want to note on this one? I mean, it was, you know, we went almost 90 minutes without any crazy action. I guess we had action, but goal scoring action. So,
yeah. I mean, this is certainly not like the most electric performance from Arsenal, but I think it's one of those, you know, if you are going to go and win the league, like, unless you're City of a few years ago, you're not just stomping every team. So you're going to have to fight and scrape by in some of these games, and, you know, do it away at Brentford, who's had the good home record. Like, you take the win and you go, I guess.
That's right. On to the next one.
Yep.
Which y'all have the Wolves.
Yeah. So that should be interesting. They normally give a little bit of a issue, but we'll see.
Gritty team. All right. I think maybe we jump to Newcastle Chelsea, just because I feel like that's still pretty relevant in my head. And, you know, after episode 50, we talked about all the beautiful things that Chelsea could be. And then we literally see them just crumble in our hands, with Reece James being the captain and getting two pathetic yellow cards to be ejected, and just a poor defense. Thiago Silva finally showing his age, which, you know, it was only 2 weeks ago he was the oldest goal scorer in Premier League, and now I'm like, oh, he's washed. It's not looking great. We were really high on Cole Palmer last week, and he was almost invisible. Newcastle toyed with them for a majority of that game, especially when they got to after the 60th minute, when they scored those two back-to-back goals. I watched this one live, and I was just, I don't know. I just want to see a good match. And by that point, I was like, that's over. I was like, they stopped. And that's why the red card happened almost, you know.
It was just like disappointing to come off of that City game and go into this and like see Chelsea just return to the like weird discombobulated side that they've been all season. You know, maybe the international break is to blame. They couldn't really ride the momentum of that City game, but still, like we said last episode, is Newcastle was going to come out and play. You're not having to worry about a team sitting back to break down. Like, this should be your, maybe not a for sure win, but at least a game where you can, you know, play your game and not have to worry about super intricate passing to get through, you know, two lines of defense right in the box. Just that City game was just a little flash in the pan, I guess, and Chelsea's back, baby.
Back to mid-table. I thought they were going to make a run. Disappointed. I mean, Newcastle still has a ton of injuries too, so they, you know, for them, I think it's a pretty big win, coming in 4-1. Especially Isaac getting the scoring started, coming back off of injury, and not having Wilson to kind of be his sideshow next to him. Chelsea, man, they just seeing Reece James just get the red card though just reminded me of his sister in the World Cup, and I was like, come on, y'all. I was like, you have these temper tantrums, and then it throws your team under the bus, and then it just gets worse from there, and then everyone's mad at you. It's just totally unnecessary, especially the first card he got, which harsh. Yeah, okay, call it harsh, but also you knew what you were doing. You know that could earn you a yellow, and the ref said, yeah, don't do that again, and then 10 minutes later, he totally the foul kind of reminds me of the Jota foul against Liverpool, but not that deliberate because Jota's foul was just so stupid. The second one was stupid, but the first one was like just that's a whole nother, we talked about that forever. It was just when your captain can't be doing that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not at all. You got to be the one to like, keep your head and keep your team focused and in it, whether you're, still in the game or you're already 4-1 down. Like it just, you're it's a bad look, right? It's
Terrible look. Yeah.
And especially with Reece having, working his way back from injury, like has looked good in the time that he's been on the pitch since. And then here's, a big game to kind of, I mean, hopefully you're going to build off the City performance, but even if that's not the case, like just get a respectable goal line there and score line and go home. But like, so do this little lash out, which was going to get you a yellow. Like, just a bad look.
You want to hear a crazy Reece James statistic?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you've heard it, but maybe you haven't. Reece James hasn't played 3 games in a row since 2021. And we're about to go into 2024.
That's insane.
He knew the streak could come to an end, and he said, I'm out of here. So,
wow.
3 games.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
It's been 3 years.
Damn, yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Shame.
There you go. He was feeling too comfortable. He said something's got to change here. I need a break.
Oh, God. Well, Chelsea has Brighton next. We can do a slight segue into Brighton. I think that Brighton Forest game was the uglier ones of the weekend.
Certainly.
I think we had 3 ugly ones. That was definitely that maybe was the peak. Brighton has looked lost the last couple weeks, losing 3 in a row. Were they on a 3 streak?
They had one in like 5 or 6.
Holy crap! So they needed this one.
Yeah,
they needed it bad, and to go against Forest, I think was generous. Forest is kind of in a weird phase right now too, but no Matoma for Brighton, which is arguably their best player. Still no Sully March. They're still figuring things out with Ferguson, young, but he's still there. He had a nice goal. I liked his touch there. I liked his finish. But I wanted to just talk about the PKs for both sides. Super strange PKs all around.
Yes.
The one that Brighton earned remind me of the one that City earned, where it was kind of a grab, but it was very, I don't know. It wasn't anything that we hadn't seen before. VAR looks at it and they say, okay, like go take a look, and they earned the PK, but it was the second one that Forrest got, and when he looked at it, the ref said no PK, and then they had him look at it again. But even on the second viewing, when they were going through it, it still didn't look like a PK. So I don't understand what made him change his mind. And then when he did change his mind, Lewis Dunk was in his face, rightfully so. He is the captain. Yeah. I'm really curious what Dunk said to the ref, because of course, you could say some pretty awful things, and the ref should card you. But, and here's my big but with this one. If a player says something to you that's so bad and you give him a yellow card and then give him a red card directly after that, why not just start with the red card?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not knowing what was said, but that feels a little more like power trippy to me than anything.
Dunk looked shocked. It looked like he thought the ref was kidding.
Yeah.
Because I think he saw the yellow card, and then I don't know, maybe did a circle. Maybe he didn't see the second yellow come out, but then it looked like a teammate said to him, "Yeah, you're gone." And then he went up to the ref and was like, "What just happened?" Like then he
Yeah.
looked desperate. Um, when you
Yeah,
said,
and I think that's just a one of those situations where obviously it's tense. Like you thought it was going to go one way, and then the call gets switched on you, and rightfully so, you're upset. You are the captain, so if anyone should be in argument with the ref, I'd say the captain is the one.
mm,
Um, Obviously, you want the language to be respectful and all that, but like the refs know the situation too. So like if a player reacts, okay, give him a yellow. If he's still kind of going on, then like maybe just pull him aside and just like have that little quick conversation of this is what happened, this is what I saw, this is why I changed it, whatever it might be. But like it looked like Anthony Taylor hands out that first yellow, doesn't like that Dunk is now walking away, still talking, and then yeah, just like power trip and like, all right, well, see what I can do, sort of thing. And it's at the end of the day, Brighton comes away with the win, but like now you're out Dunk, you're already out a few other defenders. Like it's unfortunate that you miss now one of your key defensive players who's always going to be in the team over something so silly.
I wouldn't look into it as hardly if it wasn't for Anthony Taylor. Like
Mhm.
honestly, I was like, okay, like most time I see a red card, I'm not looking to see really what was said or the reaction of it. But this one,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy again. Seriously, it's like every game there's something going on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's again, you have rugby and well, like the Australian football and stuff where the refs have the mic. You can hear what's being said from the ref and to the ref, right? Like, why is Premier League not doing that? Why is soccer in general not doing that? Like, you want to protect these refs from unnecessary abuse, which is great. So put the mic on there, and then you have a recording of everything that's said to the ref. So then you can go back at the end of the game if you want and say, like, maybe not hand out cards post game, but at least like continue to hand out fines here and there, or like warnings, and it builds to something. I don't know, but um, it just for a red card, I guess for dissent, um, it's a big game changing decision on what to viewers both in stadium and on TV looks minimal.
Accountability, Chad. This is
Yeah,
when I understand it's the league is about the players. We want to know what's going on with the players. We want the star players to be in the game. But
yeah,
I would love some post match interviews with some
yeah,
officials. Wouldn't that be nice if we could all sit down with the rest? But hey, what did Dunk say? Just to ask. What did Dunk? Because then
yeah,
we'd have some clarity. Like if Anthony Taylor says Dunk called me a wanker, and we're just like, all right, understand. But we don't even know. He could have said you made a terrible call.
yeah. I don't agree with that call. Get out of here.
Yeah, like we don't know. It's impossible to know. Sports as a whole, they don't really do any type of
Yeah,
official accountability when it comes to the media, because they're the babies, they're the angels. They need to
yeah,
protect them. But it's like you can protect them, but we could also get some answers.
yeah. And I think that's the balance, right? Like, so if you give the refs the benefit of VAR so they can get second looks, and giving the ref a mic that records all conversations, like, so they're kind of covered if anything is said, or continuous abuse from a certain player, whatever it might be, like, then you can go into these post-match interviews, or at least a post-match like report that they got to fill out, and then gets released. You have something to go back on, so it's not just like if teams or players or fans want to get mad, then they can point to it and say, like, well, look, he called me this and this over 20 minutes, so like at a certain point I got to do something, like.
Yep.
So I don't know, I mean, hopefully it kind of goes in that direction, because it would be nice to hear or read, what a ref thinks needed to be done to like result in this red card, or like what happened in this situation that prompted 4 yellows or something.
I think we're heading in that direction, especially after the fiascos that have happened this year. I think we're kind of moving in that we just need answers. We need to make sure everyone's on the same page, because fans are becoming disgruntled.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you see it a little bit with that like VAR show thing they do every once in a while, where it's like they have all the audio recorded, all the movement of the video and stuff recorded. So like, ideally, I think you show that live, not in stadium, but for everyone watching on TV, I think it's very easy to do. You see it in football and basketball; they play every angle and slow-mo, fast, whatever. But like, it helps everyone understand what's going on and why a call goes one way, and if a call ends up bad, it'll still have some uproar, but you're getting that right now anyway. Like,
bad calls are going to happen everywhere.
Yeah.
As long as there's a human involved, even if there's an AI or robot, there's still going to be some controversial calls.
Yeah.
It's more the explanation that we want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for our TED Talk on how they can improve VAR. Let's talk about Luton Town getting their first Premier League win.
Was it their first?
Their first one, yeah. At home. Maybe at home? At home.
Maybe at home. But because they have 2 wins now.
Yeah, first one at home.
Yes.
Against Crystal Palace, which, Palace can turn it on. They're gritty. They'll find ways. Michael Olise with the dude only does these left-footed bangers that are just finessed perfectly. I did think after that goal was scored, I was like, okay, they're gonna come and run away with it. But the goal that Forrest had to win it, man, that guy made the craziest run down just the edge of the post, and super fast. Jacob Brown, never heard of him until that goal was scored, and I believe that was his first goal in the Premier League. Great run, great win. It's always fun to do it kind of not super last minute, but like near the end when tension's high.
Yeah.
So congrats to them. Guess how many subs Roy Hodgson made?
Oh God, I should have looked.
I love this game.
Roy, I'm gonna say 2.
He made 4, Chad. He made 4.
What the heck?
For the second time ever, he made more than 3 substitutions. Probably why they lost.
He lost again, so he's keeping it in his notes, saying, "Look, I made 4 subs, lost. 4 subs, lost."
Like, keep telling me to make these changes, and I don't wanna. Fascinating. He's a fascinating man.
Yeah. I mean, great for Luton to get that home win. Crystal Palace, I think they kind of feel like Leicester last season, especially with Olise back, because he was creating some pretty nice opportunities for them, and they just could not finish. So I don't think he's going to be there much longer. I think he'll probably move on.
No, because he's 21. He's pretty young, right?
Yeah. I think he'll probably move on in the summer.
Eze too.
Eze's probably looking as well. I mean, I just, Crystal Palace again is looking to hover in that like 12 to 14 spot that that's their home. Like,
it's crazy. I feel like ever since we started watching the Premier League, they've always been there.
Yeah. And like, you would think they want to try and move up, but I don't think they really make, I guess maybe smart signings or much effort in the way to move the team forward like that. I don't know. It was a weird, bad defensive display from Crystal Palace, which is a little bit unheard of.
Yeah, Anderson wasn't on his game. He wasn't on his game either. And when those guys are in sync, they're hard to beat, which is a big reason why they're the top defending leaders in fantasy, but not a good one for them. I mean, when you lose against the bottom team, that's just you're gonna look bad when you lose against someone like that. Which is, hey, they drew Liverpool a couple weeks ago too, so maybe we're giving them. Maybe we should give Luton a little more credit.
Yeah, well, they're out of relegation zone by 4 points at this moment. So,
man, all right, segue. We're about to segue because we thought we had this whole relegation thing figured out. Just 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure I stated, I think Everton's fine. I'm not even kidding. I remember saying it.
Yeah.
And now,
well, look, we didn't know about their dirty dealings, okay? Yeah.
So Everton, 10-point deduction. To everyone's surprise, no one saw this coming. Right to make corrupt signs.
I think so.
Yep, I'm with you.
10 points feels very harsh, I'd say. With the information that I've seen and all the different news outlets and videos and stuff, it sounds like it came down to basically accounting differences of how Everton viewed certain interest charges and infrastructure charges and stuff, how they viewed it and how the Premier League viewed it. So it seems like a little bit like the rug was pulled out from under Everton on this. They've certainly gone through some harsh years. COVID was rough for a lot of teams.
Yep.
But probably more so for your Evertons, where it's like you didn't really have any big players that you could sell if needed. Transfer market kind of deflated with COVID as well. So there was a lot against them, and then they're trying to build this new stadium, which is needed, I guess. I don't know, but I think just bad luck on timing with COVID and everything as well. And I think they cited the Ukraine conflict because they had some sponsors that I think were Russian that had to pull out, deals collapsed because of that. So a lot of things just kind of awkwardly fell at the wrong time and pulled money out of Everton, basically. But yeah, you're by now the standards that Premier League set, they were over budget, I guess, by £20 million, which is a lot, but at the same time, the money that's now being spent on Premier League players alone, teams and everything, 20 million is pretty low.
Chelsea wipes their ass with 20 million, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So then 10 points for 20 million feels very harsh.
What's City at right now? Do you have that dollar value?
That's the thing. No, I don't. But this was one breach of the financial fair play that Everton, I think, admitted to in the end, compared to City's 115 charges, but they haven't admitted to doing anything or being guilty of anything. But you think if 20 million is a 10-point deduction, there's certainly more than 20 million in City's 115 charges.
What are we gonna call it? Let's call City.
I don't even know how you quantify it.
Let's just go nice even. Let's just go 400.
Okay, yeah.
400. So that's 4,000 divided by 20. That's a. Am I doing my math right? Is a 200-point deduction?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I'm okay with it.
So, yeah, and I think that's part of it too. Is I think because there was no precedent set, Everton is kind of being used as the example and setting the precedent now, right?
Everton, we're using Everton as an example. Right. Come on, dude.
So, I think the fans and probably internally in the club, I think they're right to feel hard done and say Premier League is corrupt and all that. And it just it's it's weird because this really should have been handled last season, because I think they started their investigation and everything like last October or something.
Mm.
So then for that season to finish and now coming to this season, and now you get deducted your points, like it just feels weird to be punished for an investigation of last season. But like, I mean, I guess with the city thing, like that, the city one's probably going to take years. So
Yeah, and in years we're all gonna forget about it. It's gonna be too late.
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation. A bummer for Everton, because yeah, it looked like they were finally kind of finding some form and working it out, and now you're just like back to square one.
And they're still super lucky that they can actually maybe get out of it
Yeah.
still.
I mean, I guess that's true. Is like, luckily this came fairly early in the season, so they do have time to
Yep.
fight back up. But I mean, still
Watching them play though this game, I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I was hoping they'd come into this game and be super amped up, put on a show for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
But then I remembered who's on this team,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, they don't have much to offer. And Man United does Man United things, but when you're scoring bite kicks almost by the 18, better than Wayne Rooney's goal. Personally,
for sure.
It's especially to start that game off with a goal like that. You're just going like, come on. I still don't think Man U played excellent. They beat Everton 3-0. They looked, I don't know, uninspired is not the right word. They just looked like they didn't know what to really do.
I mean, if you go look at the stats of the game, it was stat-wise fairly even.
Yeah,
like
almost the same amount of touches.
Yeah, like passing and touches were pretty even. Everton outshot United technically, but was just a lot more wasteful. I think United just has the better players, so they were able to capitalize on their moments, whereas Everton should have. But Onana made like 6 saves or something, so he definitely kept them in
Good
it.
saves
But
too.
yeah, so not a great showing from Man United, even though it was 3-0 at the end of it. But like, I don't know. I was kind of hoping the same, that Everton was going to come out with some like real fire and like, I don't know. It's now that us against them mentality that so many teams love, and this was the perfect time. Like, you got the whole league against you, basically, right? Like, punished you for things really out of the players and coaches' hands.
Yep.
So,
and everyone's watching your game. You're the only game on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it was the perfect time to make a statement, and it was just like, oh, it was so deflating.
Yeah.
I felt bad. And then I didn't, because I was like, it's Everton, and they can only do so much. But I wanted more from them. We didn't get it. I'm now like, you might be back in my relegation list. Considering you got Newcastle coming up, you get to see Chelsea. Their schedule is still fairly easy, but then they hit. I think this patch is probably going to do them in. They got Tottenham, City, Wolves, Villa, and that's going to be.
That'll be rough.
A tough stretch, and that's in from early January to early February. So,
yeah. I mean, if they just got to grab their points where they can at this point. Like, they already got some good results against neighboring teams early on, but now that doesn't really matter.
No.
So that's a bummer for them.
3 wins in their last 6, and they're all gone.
Yeah. And the last thing on their point deduction is maybe, like, as much as they're setting the precedent for like how many points you should deduct for a breach, I think maybe more dangerous is that now, like, some teams are being allowed to sue them for like damages, basically, because they got relegated when it should have been Everton getting relegated.
Dude.
It's the only ones that I've heard are Burnley, Leicester, and Leeds are able to sue them because It was over the 2019 through I think 2022 years. So teams affected by Everton's lavish spending at this point, I guess, can now sue them, which is like, I guess, fair because there's a lot of money involved. But
Yeah.
then I just keep thinking, okay, well, what about City, or what if these Chelsea charges like come to fruition? Like, you just let the whole league sue them for foul play, and it just that feels like double harsh, right? Like, you're already taking this punishment. You already were in pretty dire financial state, and now you gotta deal with potential suits. I don't know how you fight that, of like, you argue that you should be up, but we stayed up, but like,
It's new
okay,
territory.
maybe we did it with the player that we bought during this period, but like, that's not to say we still wouldn't have beat you. I don't know. I don't know how you fight it.
AI will come in and make up some crap. Just set it on FIFA. Just play each other on FIFA. Make it happen.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just new territory. No one's ever seen this before, so they're gonna they have to make some, I don't know, some statement, some rule where it's, if you do this, like, you're gonna be out of the Premier League for X amount of years, and you can't sue. You can't sue for past damages. They're gonna have to have some like statute of limitations where it's like, you got X window, and if we don't charge them in this window, but then it's a whole can of worms. It can get really complicated really fast. I just hope, if Everton's getting punished right now, other teams get punished real soon.
Yeah, and
if they find guilt.
That's what they need. Is like, it can't be this. Like, I know the City one has 115 charges. Like, that's a lot to go through, but this can't drag on for years and years. Like,
just get one charge, find one charge, and then just be like, we're gonna start with this, and then you got to start with something.
Yeah, because I mean,
you can't do 150 all at once. That doesn't work.
Yeah, so the further away we get from it, like, the less and less it's going to mean, if anything comes of it, or it just kind of fades away, which City would be fine with. So I think they gotta just, okay, we settled this Everton charge, now let's tackle the most egregious City ones, or like the ones we can easily like prove and go for, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right, Chad. We got 3 more games to kind of cross off here. Bournemouth, Sheffield United. Didn't really watch. Didn't really pay attention. Terrible goalkeeping by Sheffield in that game. That was whoa. If Ramsdale's keeping was shaky, that was one of the. This one was, I just couldn't believe it. The guy, what's his name? I'm going to pull his name up here. Foderingham. He dribbles outside the box with the ball. It looks like he just, like, the defender or the attacker just like went like this, just like a little time, and then he just like froze. It was like he'd never been touched before. The guy just took the ball and scored. That was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch this either, but just went through the highlights, and it just looked like Sheffield was just all over the place. Like, never really had any control or stability in their team or formation or play. Just always chasing the game, I guess.
If that was the first Bournemouth game I'd ever seen, I'd be like, "Does this team win the league? Is this they were moving the ball? They were making good runs, but Sheffield just looked lost. They didn't know what was happening, so not too shocked by that one. The Burnley-West Ham game, though. I thought Burnley was going to escape with a victory, but then Kudos came in there and said, this is why you brought me in, probably why I'm bringing him into my fantasy team. 2 quick assists at the end of that game. West Ham getting pretty lucky. Not having Bowen, I think that's a pretty big deal for them.
Big miss, yeah.
But to get away with a W there, that's huge, insanely lucky. If you lose or draw against Burnley, of course, everyone's looking right at you, but good on them to kind of dig it out. I mean, those are the games you got to fight for at the end and get them any way you can, but close one.
Yeah.
Real close one.
I think West Ham is still just like dealing with this midfield conundrum, right? Like, you got Paqueta, you got Ward-Prowse, you got Susek, you got Kudus, who could really play in the midfield, and then you have Alvarez, I think, Edson Alvarez. So yeah, you have all these like pretty competent midfield players, and like I guess kind of your best players minus Bowen, right? Like, you want them all on the fields, but how do you do that? He's been playing Susek in this like cam second striker role, which to his credit has been working. But then I think you're missing out on the creativity that James Ward-Prowse can bring when he has to sit back further.
And the balls he can deliver. I mean, they don't have Antonio right now either. He got hurt on international breaks. That's, kind of another big blow to your forwards. I think Moyes is just kind of winging it until he can kind of maybe get full strength.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're winging it and Susek's, the dude's 6'6". He's not a bad person to have in the box, top of the box. That's why we saw him score that goal. It was a nice goal. It's a pretty nice goal for a man that tall.
Yeah, I understand why he wants him up there, but I think you almost need to just like start him deeper and just like tell him to make those late runs into the box.
Sure.
Just so you can have your James Ward-Prowse, Kudus, Paqueta, like the more creative players a little bit more forward and get involved in the attack and build up. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're skating by in some of these games, which is sometimes all you got to do. But I don't know. They don't look as threatening as they did at the start of the season.
No, they were definitely got off to a really hot start. I do want to kind of focus on why maybe Ward-Prowse is kind of hanging back where he is. His passing percentage is 82%. It was third highest in that game, with Alvarez being at 92%. So I think Moyes is probably seeing smart decision making.
Yeah.
Where Susek maybe wasn't that. I don't want to say smart on the ball, but making not just the best choices or the easiest choice, where he's maybe trying to do too much. So, when you're in that deeper role, you're seeing more of the field. You're sitting further back. You can see outlets and see options, which I think we can both agree he's probably the better passer than Susek, which is maybe why he should be getting higher up. He still crossed the ball 9 times this game, highest for both teams. So, who do they play next? I think I'm gonna try to watch a full West Ham game next to kind of see. They're playing Palace next. That probably won't be the most exciting game to watch, but I just want to see what they're kind of doing with them for the full 90, because they might be crossing them up. Ooh, Tottenham, West Ham in 2 weeks. That'll be the one that I'll focus on.
Yeah.
But hey, a win's a win. They got away with it.
Yep.
And then last one, Chad, today, Fulham and Wolves. I think it was kind of the game that I expected, just kind of sloppy and scrappy, and PKs flying everywhere. Again, I think all but maybe the last one felt warranted, but it was just a sloppy game. Tim Ream, man, I don't know if that's our USA captain. He's kind of all over the place today. He made a few good tackles, but at the same time, he just looked shaky, just a little shaky back there. And Robinson again looked the best.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, look, Robinson made that first goal. Like that, he's I think a little bit at fault for, I want to say, the Wolves' first goal. He gets kind of spun around. So he has his faults, but like, I think he's in pretty good form considering, especially how Fulham has been this season. Robinson's looked like one of the better players. I mean, they were missing Polina this game, so that
It's a big
is
blow.
a big miss in the midfield. So, to kind of be already in a shaky spot and then miss a key midfield player. I don't know. Maybe that's where Ream was feeling a little uncomfortable and maybe trying to do a little too much at times.
That's
to cover that. But.
That's a good thing. It looked like he was trying to do too much. That's totally accurate. It's like he has the It's like he probably has to do a lot more with the USA team. So when he comes in back to Fulham, Fulham's not the best side, and maybe he is like overthinking things and trying to overcomplicate what could be fairly simple. But weird game. It wasn't. It was on. I watched it. I didn't enjoy it. I think that's what happens when this game is on. Hee Wang though, he had a great shot that hit the post. Oh man, I wanted that to go in. That was like, I wanted to have some competition for goal of the week, but we can move on to goal, player, and team. I think we're in agreement with the goal.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't see a well hit bike from that far out often, if ever. So. Garnacho's got to take it, unfortunately.
I did when it happened live and we were watching. I was like, well, that's probably goal of the week. Kristen's like, you're gonna give that Tool goal of the week. I was like, we kind of have to. It's like we kind of have to. But shout outs to Garnacho giving his boots to the little kid afterwards.
Yeah,
cool gesture. I don't know much about him. I think his style makes him seem really cocky and arrogant, which he still could be. But at least he does stuff for the fans, so that was cool. I want to shout out Jacob Brown goal, first one in the Premier League with that great run, and then I want to shout out Souček's celebration after his goal because I like
celebration.
I like his spins. Yeah, those are fun.
The other ones I had was Elise's goal.
Duh.
If it wasn't Garnacho, it was probably going to be him.
Banger.
Sterling's free kick was pretty nice.
Yep.
And Lo Celso's goal was nice. Just that nice hard hit ball from top of the box. But yeah, Garnacho gets the Wayne Rooney comparison, but I think this was much nicer than what Wayne did.
Yeah, the keeper was that Joe Hart. That was keeper. Joe Hart didn't really move on the Rooney goal.
Yeah, and, it was much closer.
Yes, so much closer. But Garnacho's that was like in the corner.
Yeah,
Pickford stretched. That was like just perfect.
Yeah,
couldn't be any better.
No, not at all.
And usually, I feel like we watch so many games where we see Garnacho score and it's always offside. So when that goal happened, I was like, something's gonna happen. Yeah. And they did look. I think they looked at it for a second too, just to make sure. But yeah.
Now that would have been a really rough one to like disallow for a toe offside or something.
That would suck. I can't imagine. Yeah, that would be pretty bad. For team this week, Chad, I'm kind of in a little bit of a bind.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is telling me that it should be Aston Villa. I'm building it up. My heart tells me it should be Aston Villa, but my head is saying it should be West Ham because of the 2 late goals coming back and winning that game.
Okay.
What you got for me?
I have Villa. I think Villa's a really good shout, especially because that was, a game between 4 and 5 at that time, right? So to get the away win at Tottenham is big, especially going down first. West Ham didn't make my list, honestly.
It's a beat-up Tottenham team that I think we kind of knew they were going to lose. Like I think we were both thinking the same thing. Aston Villa is probably going to go beat Tottenham. I did not expect Burnley to go up on West Ham up until the 87th minute or something, and then for West Ham to come back and score 2 to win it. That's where I'm kind of like head versus heart right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have another team?
I mean, my other one was Luton, just because you
Fair.
get your first home
Fair.
win, and a pretty decisive win. Not like too much lucky. Like you played that game well, and that the Jacob Brown goal was great.
I like that one too.
Yeah. Man.
There's no wrong answer here.
No, yeah. It's like I like the West Ham comeback, but I feel like you shouldn't have been in that position anyway.
You're right.
So
I like Luton.
I like Luton.
I forgot that was their first home win.
Yeah.
God, that crowd must have been, to be in that stadium.
Yeah. Must be nice.
Full 11,000 people.
Yeesh. I think Luton. I like Villa's win, especially because I don't think they played at 100%, but got through it.
Emery was pumped too.
Emery was pumped.
It was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, I think
it's Tottenham, bro.
I think had Tottenham not kind of been on this losing streak, it might have felt a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, they're missing 10 players or whatever, and had lost the 2 before this, so in some bad form as it is. I'd kind of take Luton on this one, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Then hear me out on this. It's got to be kudos for player of the week. If he wasn't there for West Ham, they don't win this game.
That's fair. Yeah.
2 assists.
He's on my list.
Minute.
Yeah,
well,
he
borderline 2.
Yeah. He definitely came in and changed the game. I had Onana down just because it was a clean sheet, some big saves. I think 6 saves total.
I'd argue if he wasn't the keeper, they would be in a different situation, depending on who the keeper was. Not saying people could replace him, but I do think if he wasn't on his A game, which I think maybe he was probably on his A- game, that game would look very, very different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that De Gea makes all the saves that Onana's been making. So
yeah.
Yeah, he made the list, but it was Everton, so
right.
It should be a straightforward win. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I had Anthony Gordon, but he got 1 goal, 1 assist. Played well, but Chelsea just kind of crumbled. So
he wasn't a game changer for me.
Yeah,
that scoreline probably stays the same without him.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, kudos. I mean, you come in and save the game, basically. I think it has to be.
He's going to be good. He's going to be good for a long time. Is he 23?
I got no idea.
I got it. It's coming.
23.
Yep. It's going to be a long decade of Premier League for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Chad. I think we did pretty good on this one. Got anything else you want to note?
Just Arsenal back top of the league, baby. Here we are.
Oh God! Christian started singing "Top of the League." I was like, you don't know this song." I was like, no.
Yeah, no. I think table's shaping up pretty nicely. Liverpool looks strong. City looks strong but weird. I'd maybe say the same for Arsenal. Strong, much more controlled than last year. So I think as long as they can kind of get their attack going, should be a good run. Villa's in that top 4 like you predicted.
Let's end on this. Do you think Villa sticks around top 4? Or do you think it's going to be you, me, and City till the end?
Who?
I like that question a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of a tough one. Villa's home form is really good. You just had a big win against, the team above you. I think they probably hang around. I don't know if they stay as close as it is right now. But I think, as it's looking right now, I think they're probably going to stay the front runners for number 4.
I think 4's fine. I think there will be some separation. I think the loss that they had, which was against Forest, their last one anyway, they looked a little dicey, and I wouldn't be shocked if that happens again in the future. But looking at the top 3 teams, it's their losses were, I don't want to say unconventional, just a little interesting with Arsenal's loss against Castle, controversial. Liverpool's loss against the Spurs, very controversial. And then, City losing Rodri, arguably their best player, in their 2 losses. It's like, I see big reasons why those 3 teams lost those games. For Aston Villa, I don't know why they lost their games. They just, they kind of just, that's who they are. They will lose those games as the 4th best team in the league. So I think they'll hang around, but I don't think they'll go higher than 4th, at least for a long period of time.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at their goals. They 31 scored, 18 against. More or less in line with Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. So they're performing well. Like we've said, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's been like this since Gerrard left.
Yeah, if you haven't been watching for the past year, they've been on fire.
Yeah. They're fun to watch, and just it's always nice to get a team in that top 4, 5, 6 realm that isn't always there. So, yeah, bring it on.
All right. Last thing I want to say: way too many burgundy and light blue colored teams this year. It's really throwing off my eyesight. I'm like, is this Burnley? Is it West Ham? Is it Aston Villa? I'm like, well, who is who? It's been tough to see. So I'm still learning all the kits, because they all have just slight variations, but I'm still like, what? Now they're wearing all white? I was like, oh my God. So
yeah.
All right, Chad. With that, episode 51 in the books. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Goodbye.
Peace.